Good evening. As you can see, there's some new graphic work going on. We are SEC After Dark on the brand spanking new Y'all's Conference Network. Hashtag YCN. You can follow it at YCN_SEC. That is not yet scrolling, I don't believe, but it will be pretty soon. If you want to follow the rest of us, just look down below. Got a great show lined up for you, and here to help me deliver that show is my man, Stephen Willis, Jeb Beecham, and, of course, Jake Thomas. What's up?
Hey, everybody.
Cheers.
Hey, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Got me a bullet here to get ready to go.
I got water.
Nice.
Dos Equis. I love it.
He went to McDonald's just to get the water.
Hey.
It's all good, man.
By the way, before we get started, the new Spider-Man trailer, I want to see that movie more than any movie that has ever come out.
Yep,
It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Well, I got some homework then, guys.
Yeah.
So, got to go watch that trailer. Yeah, I've been watching the new Batman trailers. I think those are outstanding. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that movie as well. I didn't really know how they were going to portray Robert Pattinson as Batman, but apparently they're doing a pretty good job. So I'm going to take a look at it. And they got the
Batman
Riddler.
isn't sparkling.
I was
Yeah,
going to say,
that's
he's actually a good actor. It's just that Twilight stuff is going to be hard to get off everybody's
Yes.
It's tough for me, Jeb. I'm not going to lie.
It's hard to get past.
This
But
is
Batman-
like the. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say this is like the fourth Batman in like 10 years. I mean, they just cannot keep somebody to play Batman.
Yeah, they are going to nail the middle-aged woman demographic for this one because all the people that read Twilight back 15, 20 years ago, they're just going to show up to watch this in droves.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the director understands that, and Robert Pattinson's probably going to be half naked in most of it. So, so if you're a middle-aged woman, there you go. So anyway, we've got a great show. As you can see from the headlines, Mighty Mississippi. That is a more than just Ole Miss. Bama's quest for the West. That's happening this weekend, and of course our picks. And this is not the only stuff we're going to talk about. Of course, we're going to get our chance to make fun of Dan Mullen again, and talk about Georgia, Tennessee, and what happened with that game as well. I feel like all these games happened like 4 weeks ago,
Oh, my gosh.
and we're just now getting to them. Like I feel like this week has it feels like we've gone through 2 weeks and 3 days. So, but I'm excited nonetheless. And like I said, we are part of the brand new Y'all's Conference Network. It's going to be exciting. Our chat is live and blazing. Stacy, what's up? Why are y'all talking about naked stuff?
That's what we do.
It's just
what we
Robert
do.
Pattinson, man. You can't help it.
I mean, it just comes with the
Naked
He's
at the door.
sparkly.
territory, you know. So it's how it happens. Yeah, we do naked movie reviews.
He's all glittery.
Not sure what that means, but yes, he's all glitter and shine. And this is getting way too out of hand. So, which Mississippi school? Let's transition to Mississippi State. Speaking of sparkling,
Oh, it's a Will Rogers reference, right?
there you go.
Boom.
Bam,
Nailed
full
it.
circle. That's called a tie-in, people. A tie-in. So yeah, Mississippi State. How about them, man? Auburn going up 28-6 at half. Bo Nix looking like the freaking Bo Nix home Bo is really what we call him. He was alive and well. I was joking to a friend of mine, and this was right around halftime, that if they judge the Heisman solely, if Auburn could play all their games at noon at home, Bo Nix would win the Heisman.
Yeah.
And then the second half happened,
Yeah.
and he turned into road Bo.
Bo
At
Nix,
home.
Bo Nix played the second half on a broken leg, though, and he'll probably never have to buy a drink again in his life just solely on that. That's something he's just going to tell that story over and over again because he for damn sure can't tell people he was good, but he'll be able to tell people who played football on a broken leg.
Exactly. But the main story of that is, some people, you have one segment of people that'll point to the collapse of the Auburn defense and how not to play a drop eight against Mississippi State. And you'll have the segment of population where it's like, man, Will Rogers was just on fire. 6 touchdowns, just throwing dimes. Guys were getting open. They just had total control of that defense in the second half. I mean, they could score at will, do whatever they wanted to. They even rubbed it in with a few ground yards, which doesn't happen. Like they got like 3/4 of their ground yards in one drive there in the fourth quarter on the touchdown on the series that led to the touchdown that put that game more out of reach. So very exciting stuff. I couldn't take my eyes off that game because I sure as hell wasn't going to watch Penn State, Michigan. That game was like watching paint dry. But this was interesting. So I enjoyed it a lot. And in Mississippi State, they just every time I start to doubt them, every time I'm like, okay, this is the game where Mississippi State finally plays like Mississippi State. And that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think the game of the week next week is the Egg Bowl. It's going to be played on Thanksgiving night, and it's just downhill from there after that. That should be a lot of fun. We'll talk about that next week. We also need to figure out if there's some kind of a schedule thing that we need to work out and when we're going to actually be able to do a show next week.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen. The show meeting. Maybe we could have a live production meeting. That'll be something that's never been done.
Oh, wow.
Little inside baseball for everybody.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll talk about rugby. Let's talk about the All Blacks and their next test versus the Springboks. So let's talk about how I don't even know the positions in rugby. Somebody's got to help me out with that, but
I ain't got a clue.
One of them has to be a flanker.
Yeah.
I think there's a hooker.
Yeah, probably.
Probably a few.
Wait, if there was, Hugh Freeze would be coaching rugby.
Oh.
Did you say hooker? Show how the sausage is made. Yeah, we can do that for sure.
So
we could just have a show talking about what we're going to eat at Thanksgiving.
Chicken and dumplings. Boom.
Hey, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That does sound good. You ever made it in an Instapot?
No, I have not.
You should
but
try that.
I have a friend that's going to make. We have a group of about 3 friends down here that all moved down from Tennessee to Florida, and they live within a half a mile of each other. And one of us is responsible for appetizers, the other desserts, the other the entrees.
Did y'all plan that?
Yeah, we did.
Like
because
plan all moving down?
Yeah, we are that kind of gooberish, and we're going to have fun. It's going to be 65 degrees and sunny because it's reached the year when it is basically perfect weather for the next 7 months. So, it's going to be fantastic.
There you go. What's up, Justin Riley? The Justin Riley Network. Looks, guys. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. So what's up, Justin? How you doing, buddy? Congrats on the network. Thank you. It's going to be outstanding. The man to my left. Almost. Over.
Yeah.
There.
There we go.
Yeah, right there. Over there. Yeah,
see, Jeff's got it easy.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wait, is it which way? Yeah.
Do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Explain yourself.
by the way, just because I'm going to keep saying this every week until it happens, December 13th is the death of the Palmcast. So if you want to watch the Palmcast, you've got until December probably 11th or 10th to see it. And then after that, we will be the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and they'll provide us with a new YouTube address and a new podcast feed and all of that stuff, so you can tune in there because I am the new guy that does Locked On Ole Miss. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Congratulations on that.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. He is definitely locked on. So that'll be cool. That'll be a good addition to the Locked On network. The day the Palmcast died. Isn't that a Bob Dylan song? Speaking of Palmcast and Locked On Ole Miss, another game that I couldn't stop, that I couldn't take my eyes off. It was Ole Miss A&M. Talk about a team that really fell apart there. Had chances to win. I think Ole Miss just about in the second half just about gave A&M every chance to win, and they could not do it. The defense stood on its head there late in the game, made some key stops, and was able to help them pull away. But man, you talk about a run game, outstanding job. Get Ely back. I mean, it just shows you how important he is to a Lane Kiffin offense. And to me, Ole Miss did exactly what they needed to do, which was find a run game without involving Matt Corral, and they did.
If Texas A&M wasn't so dominant on their front seven to where the red zone became a problem because of space, Ole Miss would have been up at halftime 35-0.
Yeah.
I memean, I've not seen a domination that thorough in quite some time, and yet Ole Miss was only up 15-0. And then A&M in the third quarter kind of figured out a little bit of recipe, and that was Devin Achane working him, and they got a touchdown and cut it back and made it back to 15-13. And then it got to the point where time started running down a little bit, and it became more about Zach Calzada. And as is the case with a young quarterback in a system like that, you expect him to throw you the ball. He threw the ball to Ole Miss on the 16-yard line, and then another pick six, and it was over.
Yeah, and that was all she wrote, man. And you know, for the people that say Ole Miss can't play defense, they were proven wrong there. Their defense has improved each and every week, and man, I like watching Ole Miss play. They fly around and all that stuff. I you know, it's going to be an interesting home stretch of the season here these last couple of weeks for the SEC West. It's certainly not over by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you know, Jeb, what did you notice from this game?
Well, actually, I missed the first half of the game, so I didn't actually tune in until the second half, and I saw the A&M kind of, you know, looking like they were going to work their way back into that game. So I thought, well, of course I'd show up just in time for this. But Ole Miss's defense, that was just impressive in the fourth quarter. Just shutting them down, all the picks. Just Calzada couldn't do anything at that point. Just sort of lost it. It was it was entertaining. And the Egg Bowl is going to be a lot of fun because it's two different offenses, but both just great offenses. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. But Ole Miss's defense, man, you got to watch out for them. You don't know what they're going to do. And so I can't wait for that night.
Specifically about the Egg Bowl, both of the defenses do what is necessary to shut down the other offenses. Yep. Mississippi State is really good on the front seven, and they're going to cause some problems in the run game for Ole Miss. But Ole Miss doing that drop 8 stuff you saw against Zach Calzada, it's all about baiting quarterbacks, and they want them to throw the ball. And the ball is going to be in the air for Mississippi State 55, 60 times. So it's going to be a ton of fun.
So it's almost like, you know, Mike Leach is kind of starting to figure out how drop 8 teams are playing. You know, and I think Will Rogers is starting to kind of understand that as well. Then I think he's understanding what the defense is trying to bait him to do. And one of the key principles to that air raid offense, not to, you know, I guess we're going to give a preview for next week, but another key to that air raid offense, or at least the Mike Leach version of it, is it's not about routes, it's not about matchups, it's about grass. It's about finding open space and getting there and staying there. And they are taught, they have a short list of concepts, but a million different ways to run them based on coverages and based on where the grass is. So their guys, you know, you have to have, like, freshmen and sophomores are going to struggle in that offense. And if you get some guys that learn fast, like I think Mississippi State has gotten a few guys that have picked it up really quickly, they start to understand the nuances of the routes that they're running within the concept that they're running, and they do a good job of finding those zones. So Ole Miss is really going to have to, or anybody that plays them in the near future is going to really, really have to, if they play the drop 8, they're going to really have to be mindful about, okay, how do I take away this space yet simultaneously snatching away that space and driving on the ball. And that's what Auburn struggled with in the second half. That's what teams, you know, since that Arkansas game, I think they've gotten incrementally better. The Arkansas game last year where they threw, you know, 6 picks, you know.
That was Ole Miss.
Yeah, but they've gotten better too. But Mississippi State has gotten Mississippi State's gotten just incrementally better with all the defenses they face, and, you know, everybody trying to play the same stuff against them. You know, it's going to turn to where now you're just going to have to get aggressive and just get after it and just blow the whole thing up.
Yeah, when Mike Leach comes into a program, like what we saw last year was everybody being able to just play the drop 8, and that became a little bit of kryptonite to the Mike Leach offense. And as that offense has gotten a little bit better, now all of a sudden you need that drop 8 plus a pass rush. You need to speed it up because he can process information so quick and go through his progressions. And all of a sudden he's very dangerous doing that. So the next step is the pass rush. So he's going to struggle against teams like Alabama. When Will Anderson just lived in the backfield and just hit him over and over again. But if you can't do that, they're going to be a problem to whoever they play against because of what they do. It's going to be all about that pass rush now and the drop 8, not just the drop 8.
And that's why they're so unpredictable. So
They are.
And then you get teams like Tennessee who, they run high tempo. And they're aggressive, man. They take some shots. And it's hard to say coming on the heels of a 41-17, thrashing that I came away impressed to how they did and what they did. But I was like that first drive was clinical.
Yeah,
Georgia figured out that, hey, our dudes are better than their dudes. They have to block our dudes. They can't block our dudes. Well, so let's just come after them. And they did. And they harassed Hendon Hooker all night long, and that was just a personnel battle, to be honest with you. Because if things were equal, I think that game would have been a lot closer. But I was just impressed with what they were able to do, and how quickly that they're kind of meshing and molding together. I really like Jabari Small. I think he's going to be a really, really good running back. I all of a sudden just now forgot the dude, Jeb. What's number 4's name? Tillman. Cedric Tillman. That dude's a problem.
Yeah.
He was a 2-star.
Yeah.
That dude's a problem.
That's crazy. Here's a 2-star.
Yeah. That dude. I'm glad I'm glad that game ended because the dude was making catches all over the place. Like that guy's awesome. I like him. I like Velus Jones. Like I think your receiving core is really good. And the more they gel together, the more they get comfortable in an offense, and the more depth they build, it's good things are on the horizon for Tennessee. So, to say that, I say that to say that game made me really happy because everybody was high on Tennessee. Everybody was putting Georgia on upset alert and saying, "Oh, this is going to be, can they? This is Kirby's kryptonite," and it wasn't. But this game also showed you that recruiting does matter.
Well, now be careful.
Mullen, if you're listening.
Last week I was talking about this Georgia-Tennessee game and mentioned over and over about how this team has all the things to give Georgia problems. I also picked Georgia to cover that game. So it kind of
I'm not saying you. Yeah.
Well,
you're an anomaly there.
Yeah.
To cover.
A lot of
Tennessee.
people are heads on that one.
Yeah, Tennessee is going to be 7-5 and just embarrass somebody in a bowl game. They're going to get in the Duke's Mayo Bowl against North Carolina State and just go up and down the field on their ass. And it might be a 4-touchdown win.
I can see that.
I can see that happening.
They go. They draw Iowa in the Gator Bowl. Annihilate them.
My goodness, they would embarrass Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa can't score to begin with.
Number 2 in the nation, Iowa. Are they ranked now? I don't know if they're ranked.
I think they're still ranked above Wisconsin, and they have the same record as Wisconsin beat them head to head.
Wow.
I mean, it continues, man. I think the pollsters don't know how to rank the Big Ten.
The committee is just trolling. They are honestly trolling. They've got Michigan over Michigan State. Mm-hmm. We're 2 weeks past that game. So they're going to play that matchup game, and they're going to find justification reasons, but yeah, they're just trolling. The fact of the matter is nobody get upset about these rankings. Let them rank whatever they mean because one doesn't necessarily influence the other, and the only ranking that matters is the one on December 5th.
That is true.
Those
are facts. So, Jake, Alabama struggled.
The first drive, that was it.
Did you see Saban get after that reporter?
Oh yeah. Well, it was a stupid question anyway, but
it was.
Yeah, Alabama's got a chance this week to clinch the West, which I'm sure they're gonna be fired up for. But we always say that everybody gives Alabama their best shot. So I know Arkansas is going to come in and be ready. So it's going to be a dogfight. But Corey, I think I'll see you in a little preview of the SEC championship in a couple of weeks.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, Arkansas is flying high. They had an
They
overtime win in the battle for the boot, and again, like for LSU, like they suck, but like there's a couple of games down the stretch that it doesn't matter who the coach is; they're going to get up for it. Like Arkansas is one of those games. And Garrett Nussmeier looked decent coming in. He was 18 of 31.
He better if he's pulling his red shirt.
Yeah, right.
But it's like Steven said, Ed Orgeron has nothing to lose, so it's like a scorched earth over there right now. He's going to throw everything he's got the rest of the year. And, I think they have 4 or 5 wins right now. So, I mean, they're still fighting for a bowl game. So, I mean, they're going to be playing hard the rest of the way out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who. We'll get to their remaining schedule here in a little bit, but as we put a bow on Week 11, Ken Seals, Steve, are we closing the Ken Seals fan club?
No, we are not. We need him to hit the transfer portal, go to another school, and we will rise up being fans of Ken Seals because he's a better quarterback than he's shown that offensive line. It's a sin how bad they are, and Ken Seals is just a great quarterback, and I don't care what anybody says.
That was the worst pick six I've ever seen, by the way. And Steve?
Yeah. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible.
And Steve, you just said rise up, so I commend you for that. Yeah. I converted him. He's a Falcons fan.
Oh, I'm a Saints
There's proof.
guy.
There's proof. It's on tape. He's a Falcons fan. Go rise up, baby. Rise up.
Wow.
So yeah, I caught him. I caught him napping. But okay, so I did that to clear the way for the biggest come on man of the weekend, Florida. You win. You have to score. You have to score a 70 piece to beat Samford.
Yeah.
What's Samford's record? 4-6.
Mm-hmm.
They got beat by UT Chattanooga by like 45 points.
Yeah.
They're not even. I don't think they could make the playoffs in FCS. They are.
No, they absolutely could not. They'd be a 17-point dog if they played Jackson State today.
And wasn't they up like by 12 at halftime or something like that?
Yeah, they had scored 42 points.
Yeah.
Florida's defense showed up to give up only 10 points in the second half.
Yeah.
That's the most points an SEC team has ever given up to an FCS team.
That's embarrassing.
In all of the history.
And that's not even the worst part. They danced like they won the SEC East
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so embarrassing.
in the locker room. Like, do you think, like, if Nick Saban, like, is the head coach at Florida in that scenario, can you imagine?
I wouldn't want to be in that locker room.
No.
If that happened.
Can you imagine what would happen with any other coach?
Probably the same thing.
Yeah. Paint peeling off the wall is what would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You don't want that smoke.
I wonder how many players his wife kissed to after that dance
Obviously not enough because they didn't play well.
Yeah. And basically here's the bitch of it going into it. They can't really fire Dan Mullen this year because LSU's open, USC's open, and all of these other jobs is going to take first choice over Florida. So if you were to fire Dan Mullen this year, you would end up with a second-level coach. We all know that people at Florida, some of them want Jeff Brom at Purdue. He's a pick of the ball coach, and he would honestly scare the hell out of me. But he's not an A-lister this year. But they would end up getting a second-tier guy. They would end up getting some up-and-coming guy in the Mountain West, and nobody like Jim McElwain. It'd be another hire like that.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I saw something where Michigan State was honing in on a 10-year, $95 million contract extension for Mel Tucker. So it appears that he ain't going nowhere.
2 boosters ponying up that money.
Yep. Was one of them Magic Johnson?
Possibly, but that
Magic
tells
and
you
Plaxico?
how much those boosters respect what Mel Tucker's doing.
Absolutely, and they should. Absolutely should. Those two boosters, Plaxico Burris and T.J. Duckett.
And if Michigan State pulls the upset this week, which we'll get into that later, but
It's going to be tough. They don't match up.
Is Plaxico still in the joint
I have no idea.
after he shot himself in the leg?
yeah,
I think he played in the Super Bowl after that.
yeah.
Somebody said it would probably resemble the viral video of Bo Davis. Did you guys see the one that came out on Kirby Smart?
No.
I heard about it, and
Go listen to it.
it was intense, and you'd be that is what people don't understand. People record it because they think they're funny, and those guys that record that and put it out, those guys are the ones that need to be gone. Because Bo Davis's speech and Kirby Smart's speech, and like I said, I haven't heard Kirby's, but I can imagine exactly what it sounded like and what was said. And it's what you want. A Georgia-Florida game, you don't want a coach to just ho-hum. You don't want him sitting there talking about Mr. Coach Klein and talking about the water boy I mean, it's what you want. Like the guy at Texas that recorded that, the one who recorded it's the problem, not Bo Davis for saying what he said.
And they need it because, damn, Texas is soft.
Oh wow.
Ooh,
God
Oh,
almighty.
so bad.
I know you talk about, and I know I hate to get into Big 12 after dark, but it accounts because Oklahoma and Texas is SEC coming out.
Yeah.
But I know how you refer to Oklahoma as Charmin, extra soft. I think Texas is even more than that. They're like cotton balls. That's how soft they are. They're like down comforter soft.
So we're welcoming in Charmin and Cottonelle into the SEC.
Yeah. And both of those teams are. See, when A&M came into this league, they had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that masked the problem. They were unbelievably soft and got pushed around constantly. And over 10 years, they figured out the lines is where you need to improve. And now those guys are a bunch of dudes on those lines. And they're a good team, and they're highly respectable in everything you look at. It doesn't even resemble the team that came in 2012. Missouri came in, and they had, I think it was James Franklin at that time. And the quarterback masked some issues, but they didn't have it on the offensive line, and they've kind of gone the other way.
Yeah.
And they've still struggled.
Yeah. And Oklahoma and Texas, those guys we need to worry about them a little bit.
Well, I mean, we don't need to worry about them, but like their fan base needs to worry about them.
SEC West, which would be of this one just me, because Alabama and Auburn's going to end up going to the East, and we're going to end up getting Missouri and the two Oklahoma and Texas, and that'll be the SEC West.
Poor Vandy.
Yeah, that's what actually. If you're looking for poor Vandy, don't say poor Vandy. Say poor Kentucky.
Yeah,
because they actually are trying now. They're making some headway, and then that's going to happen. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
South Carolina's like, okay, we're going for 8th in the East. No, they're going for 7th in the East because Vandy is pretty much
locked.
They got the 8 on lockdown.
That's right. All right, Week 12, guys. Bama's Quest. This looks like it is the premier matchup in the SEC. Shocking, it's not Georgia versus Charleston Southern. I know that one's very tempting.
Eddie George is going to Starkville.
Eddie George is going to Starkville.
Right.
He's getting some cowbell in his life.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a fever, and apparently the prescription is more cowbell. I don't know. UL Monroe, LSU's on upset alert this week. Tennessee hosts South Alabama. That'll be fun for Tennessee. Ole Miss has got an FCS opponent this week. Vanderbilt. Auburn, South Carolina. That'll be a good one. We'll talk about that in a minute. Florida, Missouri. 4 weeks ago, this game was a laugher, but now it might be a laugher for a different reason. New Mexico State, Kentucky, and of course Georgia, Charleston Southern. Those are the and Prairie View A&M versus Texas A&M. So the A&M's going at it, I guess. So not many like great matchups this week in conference, so our picks are going to reflect that, I imagine. Um, but nonetheless,
We branched out in the picks this week.
I bet we did. Um, so Arkansas travels to Tuscaloosa. This is an interesting game. Now, if this game were flipped, I would be a little bit more worried. But for Alabama's sake, I think they see the blood in the water. I think they see their path now. They're starting to figure some things out. Some guy named Jamison Williams, if you've heard of him, he makes a few plays here and there. Is the focal point of this offense in all seriousness. They're starting to click a little bit. I still worry, Jake, about the coordinators, but
Don't we all? We all Alabama fans do.
but I think it's one of those scenarios where talent is going to overcome all of that. I think it's there's some things that Arkansas does that make them really really dangerous. They have the capability to get in a score fest like they did with Ole Miss. And they also have the capability of winning a slugfest like they did with LSU this past week. So I'm curious to see what Arkansas team's going to show up. How can Arkansas on the road at Bryant Denny dictate the tempo of the game? Because that's going to be the biggest key. If they can force Alabama into the style of play that they want to, then Alabama's going to have some issues. How do they do that, Jake?
Right now, speaking for Alabama, our defense has stepped up majorly in the last couple of weeks. Since that A&M debacle, they have been lights out. Of course, we shut out Mississippi State. We didn't give up a touchdown. We needed them to make big plays against LSU because we could not do anything offensively that night. And they've come up big there, and they've just been improving as the season's progressed. Now, like Justin just said, the biggest issue is going to be the offensive line. Now, I think we do get Dalcourt back at center, but Cohen's still going to be out, I believe, and now it's going to be is Owen's going to go back to right tackle, and we know how that's gone this year. And the kid's a good guy. I don't want to harp on him too bad, but. Damian George played there last week and looked pretty good. So, but the biggest key is going to be the offensive line, how they contain that defensive front for Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be still Bryce Young is like a freshman plus. He's still very very young at the quarterback. What's up, DGD? You're my main man. Welcome. It's going to be exactly right, Justin. How is Alabama's offensive line going to protect? How are they going to get it into Jamison Williams' hands? How are they going to be able to take the shots downfield that's going to open up the run game for Brian Robinson? How are they going to do that? And one of the things that I've really been disappointed with Alabama in offensively is the fact that they haven't had a creative mix in their play calling to be able to open their opportunities up. Yep. See, where Sark was brilliant, obviously he's struggling as a head coach. Maybe he's not a head coach, but where he was brilliant as a coordinator was he was creating, and he was doing that in a creative manner, opportunities to get Devontae Smith the football. And when Jalen Waddle was healthy, Jalen Waddle. Like he was creating things for them in different ways to attack different parts of the defense that still got the ball in their hands.
Right.
Yeah, that was Norm Chow stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean it was brilliant, like how they were doing it and how they were incorporating Najee Harris into it, and not wearing him down. Him getting stronger throughout the course of the season, preserving him a little bit, getting him a little bit more on the perimeter and things like that, to where it was like a combination of power and finesse. It was awesome to watch their offense last couple of seasons. But where they've lacked and where Bill O'Brien lacks is I think he has more of a systematic approach where he's just kind of by the sheet.
Yeah.
The situation calls for this, he's going to call for that. Like he is the person that's going to meticulously, like if he's cooking something, he's going to meticulously measure out the ingredients and he's going to stick to that recipe step by step, no matter what. Right? A good chef always always puts a little pizzazz on it. Okay, it needs a little dash of this, a little dash of that. You know, I'm gonna follow this recipe sort of. It just needs a little dash of this here, there, bam, boom, chef's kiss, right? That's what the offense was under Sark. It was dash here, dash there, and he was getting creative with it, get a little funky with it. But defensively, also they've got to figure out the secondary has really kind of disappointed me a little bit. And Will Anderson is a beast, but they just need to figure out a way to be on the same page. I don't think they're on the same page yet. I say all of that because I'm nitpicking. Alabama's still ranked number 2 in the country. Let's not forget that. Have they won as impressively as they've won in the past? No. And I think that's where all the criticisms come. They're still the number 2 team in the country. They're still extremely talented. And Arkansas is still going to have to play perfectly to win.
Yeah. One thing, two actually multiple things, but if Virginia Tech's coaching spot just came open, you know who's going to be a candidate for that job? Barry Odom. Barry Odom is going to probably be towards the head of the list on that job. And this is going to be a resume game for that. Now, that said, I think Alabama plays a little bit of murder ball. It's going to go back to 2012. You're going to see the Ole Miss game plan. They're going to attack the edges. And that's what you will see grow up. Arkansas, get them out of their drop 8, get them to play a little bit more man, a little bit like that, and then hit Jamison Williams over the top. That's the way I think this is going to go. I don't think that Arkansas has the personnel to be able to play the way they play against Alabama unless, and this is a big if they can get to Henry To'oTo'o to with the RPO to where he's a little bit wrong like Florida did, that's going to be a problem for that defense, and that's going to open up a big hole in that defense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can see that 100%. I mean, for Alabama, if they can get Arkansas out of their comfort zone, man, that's going to be a huge deal. So, and I think the biggest thing for Arkansas maybe is to go tempo offensively, to get Pete Golding out of his rhythm.
Yeah, but Alabama did a really good job against Ole Miss earlier this year of playing a simple game plan and just getting their feet in the ground and playing ball. And that really worked for them. So they've actually had pretty good scout teamwork, if you think about it, going into the Auburn game, going with that Ole Miss. Now, Lane Kiffin panicked in that game. And if he wouldn't have panicked, that would have been a different game in the second half. So I expect this game to be closer than the Ole Miss game was. I don't know if Alabama has enough to cover that line, but we'll see.
Yeah, the Ole Miss game for Alabama was just a pure momentum game. I mean, I don't think they did anything special. It was just like one of those, like, it's just got the ball rolling with that first 4th down stop, and they were pissed off. That was a game of, hey, we're pissed off. We got a little bit of momentum. We're just gonna hammer you, and that's what they did, and they did a good job of that. I wouldn't necessarily say Pete Golding was like the key to all that, but.
No, they played really physical. How many times did Ole Miss catch the ball on a slant and get tackled with a physical tackle 1 yard away from the first down when they would have normally fell forward, ended up being 4th and 1, and all of a sudden Alabama, when their cleats in the ground, they make a big stop, and that's how the momentum was grabbed in that game. Physical defensive play.
And they're going to bring that to Arkansas because Arkansas is going to bring it to them. And I've been impressed with Barry Odom. I think he got screwed at Missouri personally, but there you go. So, I think Bama wins this one. Unfortunately for Arkansas fans, the dream is there, but it's not going to happen for them. They're 7-3. They're going to have a nice season, but it's not gonna go through Alabama. I think, does Alabama clinch the West with this win?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
With one win, Alabama clinches the West. If they lose both games and Ole Miss wins out, Ole Miss can win the West.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So, like I said, it's unfortunate that Ole Miss doesn't have a conference game this week. Oh wait, is Vanderbilt still? That game's gonna be ugly. Florida, Missouri is one that's
real quick, Corey. We were talking about Ole Miss and Vandy. I did my Know My Enemy podcast today, and where I was going over the stats for Vandy, and I literally at one point just went, "Come on, Vandy, and just looking at it just because it was so sad. And it's like, man,
That's pitiful, man.
yeah, it was one of those things you're trying to do the know your enemy, and this is what we're looking at. But they're averaging like 290 yards on offense and giving up close to 5 bills.
And what was so funny is they were talking so much trash to Tennessee fans in the offseason, in the summer. They were like, "Yeah, Tennessee's gonna suck," and I'll admit I had a little fun with it because I'm not the biggest Tennessee fan of all time. I had a little fun with it, just
All right.
just to poke my Tennessee friends a little bit. I didn't believe a word of it, but I just went along with it because it was funny. But it's going to be hilarious watching Tennessee just. I don't even know the correct adjective.
Is that game in Nashville this year?
I think it's in Knoxville, isn't it?
I think it is.
Okay, I wish it was in Nashville where Tennessee could do a checker out again. That is my favorite troll move of all time when they checker out of Vanderbilt Stadium.
That's so sad. If you follow my Instagram, Burton.Corey on Instagram, you'll see. Well, you may not see it anymore because the story may have went out. But Sunday night, I got invited to go to the Vandy basketball game. We didn't end up making it in, but we did end up sneaking onto the field because the gate was wide open. So we didn't really have to sneak. We just kind of walked right through the gate.
Yeah, nobody goes anyway.
Right.
Yeah, well, we were the first fans there all year, so it was great. But
I want to ask one question real quick. If
yes,
something
the
happened,
turf feels good.
Yeah. if Vandy and Kansas ever played a game, what would be the
I
average
want to
attendance?
see that game. No,
I want to see it.
I want to see that game.
Kansas
What
would
would be-
beat the dog shit out of them.
Yeah, but what would be the average attendance of that game?
It depends on if Kansas lets them in for free or not.
Well, that's a good point.
The other game I want to see is Texas versus Florida.
Yeah.
Ooh. So Jake, here's a little stat that'll give you a prediction on the fan support for Vandy, Kansas. When Vandy played UConn, there was 40% UConn fans there.
That's sad. Well, they're all doctors at Vandy, so maybe there's all at work. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Hey,
They're all smarter than
I
me.
spent in August of 2019. I spent 20 days in neuro ICU at Vandy. They will always have a soft spot in my heart. But those guys are just next level bad this year.
Yeah, their football team is just pitiful. Their hospitals and their medical stuff is top notch, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So, Corey,
As a school, yeah, second none.
if you snuck on the field, did you get to fire the cannon off, or what happened?
Yeah.
I did. That's how I got caught.
Just snuck in, shot a cannon,
That's how I got caught.
and then they knew somebody was in there because it's not like there was a touchdown.
Yeah,
Right.
apparently it's frowned upon to fire the cannon when nobody's in there.
What you need to do, I can tell you where the switch is to fire the foghorn. You need to go about 3 in the morning and fire that off. Wake everybody up. Now leave immediately after you do it, but just go in there and fire that off about 3 in the morning, and they'll lock that gate next time.
I guarantee you they will. Do you think they put a little thing like they do on fire alarms where if you flip the switch it sprays you with something on the foghorn? They should.
Do that?
No,
on fire
I
alarms?
guarantee you they don't, because nobody goes to the game. They don't have to worry. It's like the house where you don't have to lock the doors because there's nobody living in that neighborhood anymore. Like 3 abandoned houses around you.
Those are
That
facts.
Vandy does. They don't even have to pay for security at their stadium.
Those are facts. Those are facts. Yes, everybody just secures themselves. So speaking of Florida, Missouri, this is about the closest Florida versus Texas game that we're going to get. Both teams just remarkably underwhelming. Connor Basilick threw one of the most pitiful pick sixes of his own right. Tyler Beatty, one of the lone bright spots for this Missouri team. They can actually run the ball fairly well, which is surprising. Florida is still somehow 8.5-point favorites. I thought this game would be even. They both suck. They're both really soft, and they both have kind of weirdos for head coaches. Like Eli Drinkwitz is a bit of a nerd, not in a good way. So, Florida, Missouri. Sorry, all you Missouri fans.
He hasn't dressed up as Darth Vader in a press conference.
That's true.
he has it. I mean, he's not Dan Mullen yet, so that's good, right? So what do you guys see in this matchup? I mean, we're slim pickings with conference matchups here. But what do you guys see with this one?
I'll say this is basically the battle of not being the one next to Vanderbilt in the rankings, I guess.
I guess so. Man,
I don't know. Florida's still got a great offense, so I expect them to score a lot in this game. But, man, that defense last week, that was just amazing. And actually the week before, too. Honestly, that's been the thing that's gotten me through the last couple of weeks of Tennessee playing the way they, Georgia and everything. Is at least I can flip over to the Florida game and get a good laugh. It makes me feel good,
I mean, I kept seeing that going, this has got to be a typo.
Yeah.
Even the Kentucky game where we won, it was still it was a close enough game to give me heart attacks, but I could always flip over to Florida and just relax for a little while, laugh, and back to Tennessee. That's basically how it said. I love it.
Well, basically with this game, with this game, if you want to know exactly what's going to happen, if Missouri can make a couple of stops defensively, they're going to win the game because Florida's defense offers no resistance. They just gave up 52 points to an FCS program and 42 and a half. It's as simple as that. If Missouri's defense can force a couple of stops, and with Emory Jones or AR-15 or however you want to look at it, that's absolutely possible. The winner of this game is bowl eligible. The Birmingham Bowl is on the menu for one of these teams. Who's going to take it?
Probably Missouri. AR-15 has got to stay off the dance floor this week if he wants to play. This is I don't know how bad it can get for Florida at this point, man. It's brutal. That they picked a hell of a time to tank because they're gonna get left at the altar. They're gonna be left with Manny Diaz.
Yeah, if you want to know how bad it can get for Florida, they can lose to the game against Missouri, and then they can get curb stomped by Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that is on the menu.
I think Florida fans are like welcoming that though this year, so that they can fire Dan Mullen. I think if you ask Florida people, they are done with Dan Mullen, and rightfully so, obviously.
I think he's done. I think it's like he's trying to get fired. It's the weirdest stuff, man. It just really is. Maybe he just looks at his quarterback room, at the talent that's in there, and is like, okay, and let's get out of here. Like I said, I think Dan Mullen wants the Penn State job desperately. He wants James Franklin to move so he can get the heck out of Gainesville.
Well, if he goes to Penn State, he's going to have to recruit during the season, not just after the season. So
there's a 15-minute period in the end of November that he makes a couple of phone calls.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan Mullen, you want to come play for Penn State?
Well, aren't
you still at Florida?
I wonder if he calls his recruits in the Darth Vader mask.
I don't know, but I got a fun story. When Dan Mullen was hired at Florida, the quarterback committed to that class was Matt Corral. Matt Corral was in Florida's class when Dan Mullen was hired. Dan Mullen went out to California and rescinded Matt Corral's offer so he could sign Emory Jones. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, there's nothing you can be told.
He's crazy.
There's so many layers to it, but that's just one of many. I mean, that's. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tennessee did that to Trevor Lawrence, so
I
know how that feels.
Yeah.
Georgia did it to Cam Newton, so what can we say?
Ole Miss did it to Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, Ole Miss went on probation.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hey, I went on a visit, and Peyton Manning was there at the same time. So if you go to a visit to Ole Miss and Peyton Manning is there at the same time, understand that nobody is going to pay attention to you. I could have stole everything and got completely away with it because there was like a pig pen situation where all the coaches were just following around Peyton Manning. So, yeah, it was kind of cool to see how the sausage is made in that. So, yeah, it was kind of fun.
There you go, Stacy.
Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Sausage. We got the making of the sausage.
Mm-hmm.
Check. All right. Check that one off the box. So yeah, I think when you look at these games, I guess the fact that we're on we're on a tangent here. We're talking about Florida, Missouri, ADD radio at its finest.
Hey, at least we're not like Colonial Athletic Association after dark.
Right.
I mean, at the rate we're going, we're probably going to get there.
Which, by the way, the CAA should be ashamed of themselves for not allowing James Madison to compete for championships. Just because they went up. Yeah. There we go. There's our CAA after dark.
There you go. Screw you.
Yeah.
That's what JMSU said. James Madison. All right. So let's do it. Let's get what's that last one say?
Picks.
Let's do it. Y'all ready? Y'all ain't ready.
Hey, if you're watching the stream at home, put whenever we go through the picks, let us know who you picked as well.
Yeah, drop it up there.
Yeah, drop it up there.
DH Baller 1323. Yeah, do it. Show us your pick there. We got a Twitch viewer. Love it. Justin Riley Network. I'd love to see your official picks. We should put yours on the spreadsheet. Because it's all official. Anyway,
although mine's incorrect from last week, I just want to point that out.
Why did you miss
I'm
one?
not 5-6. I'm 6-5.
Oh, okay. Which one?
The very last one, Purdue, Ohio State. I picked Ohio State, but
okay, yeah. I just assumed.
Oh.
You know what they say about assuming, right?
Yeah. There we go.
So New Mexico State assumes that they're in the SEC because they got their second straight SEC matchup this week against Kentucky. They are 36-point underdogs. I guess they're strapped for cash. But Kentucky, can they? So Jeb, can Kentucky cover that spread? Yay or nay?
Oh, they definitely could. But if I'm picking this week, I don't think they're going to. I think Kentucky will probably end up running the ball a lot this week, just kind of grinding, or not really grinding out, but just slowing this game down and getting out of this one. So I think they win. I think they win comfortably. But I think New Mexico State might have a good chance of at least just covering that spread. So I'm going with them this week.
I'm going with Kentucky. They got a big game coming up next week, so they're going to try to be firing on all cylinders. So they're going to, keep the attack on, and I think they cover easily. They may win by 40, 42 points.
All right, Steve.
I learned my lesson last week about taking New Mexico State. I'm going to take the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, New Mexico State showed me that it don't matter what the spread is. They ain't covering it.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Wildcats here. Our next one is SEC Game of the Week. Alabama hosting Arkansas. Alabama's 20.5-point favorites. Jeb, do they cover at home?
I'm saying no. And I hate doing that because every time I pick against Alabama, I am wrong. Including last week where I took Alabama and was correct. Because, they covered that 52-point spread. But I don't know. I love the way Arkansas plays, and it's because they're just such kind of a gritty team. They're just grinding these out, which is something I love being a Tennessee Titans fan. That's how we've always been. I love the job Sam Pittman's doing there.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think they're going to beat Alabama at all, but I'm taking Arkansas to keep it a little closer than that.
Yeah.
Jake, we know where you lean on this one.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
War Eagle.
yeah, of course. Go Gators, Corey. But anyway,
yes.
Yeah. I think Alabama's going to win because, since this new time, we're still in the daylight savings. I don't know how everybody else is, but we got the daylight savings. So it can start like at 4 o'clock here. So second half comes around, that stadium is going to be popping, and all them lights are going to be going, and it just energizes the team. And I think we cover easily. Now, I agree, Jeb. I love Sam Pittman, what he's been doing there, and they've got a really good team. But Alabama's fighting for something this week. They're going to come out hungry, and they're going to win and cover.
Yeah, this is a classic Steve Nick Saban game where he's going to have those guys fired up. They're playing for a purpose. They're not going to sleepwalk through this one. Unfortunately for Arkansas, there's some things that they don't match up well with Bama on, and I think that's going to be exposed. Steve, I'm taking Bama to cover this, and I think they do so quite easily. I think it's a 24-point win.
Yeah. Something to remember in this game is Nick Saban does not want to go to the Plains with the SEC West on the line. They're going to be up for this game. They don't want to deal with that Auburn voodoo. I'm taking Alabama to cover.
Great pick. Florida, we just talked about them. They are 8.5-point favorites. We'll call it 9 at Missouri. This one's going to be interesting. I don't know where I lean. I'm gonna let you guys talk me into something. Jeb, we'll start with you. I'm gonna let you talk me into who you are picking and why.
I don't know. Since Florida shut out Vanderbilt, ever since then, their defense has just fallen apart. Missouri runs the ball well. I really love. Is it? I always called him Batty because it's just what it looks like to me. But that may be that might not be how you pronounce it. But either way, I love the way they actually play offense. So I'm taking Missouri actually to cover this one. Probably just win right out in that game.
Jake.
Yeah, I agree, Jeb. And I'm more interested to see what the over/under is on this because it could be a high-scoring ball game the way both defenses are. And but I think Missouri's going to pull it out in the end and cover.
Steve.
Yeah, it's a game where South Carolina scored 40 against that defense. The week after, an FCS team put 52 on that defense. Beatty is probably going to run crazy. I think they're going to be able to make a couple of stops and be able to pull out the game. Missouri's
pretty tough on defense. They're not a pushover. They gave Georgia some fits. They give some teams fits defensively, but they're just so discombobulated at times that they haven't been able to put it all together, and they've been quite bad as an overall operation. But you break it down into certain segments of it, like Tyler Beatty, awesome. Connor Basilick at times, awesome. We know what he did last year as a freshman too. This defense, they can make some plays, but then again, they have some head scratchers. So they're a very inconsistent team. But I think they're going to put together a lot of that stuff, and they're going to expose Florida, who, for all intents and purposes, has essentially quit on Dan Mullen. I don't care what you think about them dancing. They're done. I'm taking Mizzou.
Yeah, quarterback run game for Florida is the whole key to the game.
Yeah.
If Missouri gets that under control, Missouri wins the game fairly comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right. I guess I should wake up, right? Auburn, 7.5-point favorites on the road at South Carolina. Jeb. Auburn with TJ Finley, are they a different team? Can they cover this thing? What do you think?
See, this is the problem. Auburn is the better team, so that's what I'm going with. South Carolina is kind of pretty much just been a mess this year. They've done some things that have actually been decent, but now out of the game, who knows? So, but I'm still going to go with Auburn to cover in this one.
Jake, are you going to shock the world, or are you going to pick South Carolina?
I'm picking South Carolina, and I'm not trying to be an Auburn hater. Great line of kickers, so. If it gets into a field goal battle, it could be a struggle for him. But, South Carolina is at home. I think that gives them just a slight advantage. Auburn still may win the game, but it may be by 3.
All right. Steve.
Yeah, I'm taking the Auburn Tigers because South Carolina needs to quit getting credit for the Florida win because Florida is awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm with you there. That's part of the reason why I'm picking picking Auburn. I think TJ Finley is just as good, if not better, probably a little bit more stable at the quarterback position, which is probably actually what they need. And that's not a I'm glad Bo Nix got injured type statement, but just their situation, they just need somebody more stable, and Bo Nix isn't that guy. So I'm taking
Also, remember, Mike Bobo is going back to his former players that he knows offensively.
Yeah,
that is going to help them out as long as TJ Finley can avoid disaster plays, which he's prone to do. Now, granted, South Carolina's pretty good on defense.
There you go. Justin Riley, by the way, is picking Florida to beat Missouri, and Will Anderson gets a pick 6. So take that prop bet if you wish.
I know, Justin. I mean, I don't want Will Anderson in coverage. I want him rushing the quarterback every single freaking time. I do not want him in coverage.
Well, he might pick off a screen, so
Maybe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cassidy, good night, and don't disrespect Alabama like that. Please capitalize Roll Tide next time.
Yes.
Yeah, what are you
horrible.
doing, baby?
Signed, the Grammar Police. Thank you. ASAP, thanks. So only Steve gets that. South Alabama travels to Rocky Top. I think it's pretty obvious we're gonna clean sweep this thing. Tennessee's just gonna roll roughshod over them. Steve, I think you differ.
I'll explain it if you want me to.
Yeah,
I want to
please
hear this. I want to hear this.
I'm
Vandy and
taking
Ole Miss.
Vandy in this game because A, it's too many points. Ole Miss plays 5 days later, which means they're going to get Matt Corral and the starters the heck out of the game as soon as possible. I think it could look a lot like the Kentucky Vanderbilt game last week. This game has got like 41-10 written all over it. That won't cover it, and there you go. Vandy covers.
I think they score quick. I think Ole Miss is going to score quick. Vandy, I think you're underestimating how pitiful they are.
Now, the flip side of that is they're trying to jumpstart Matt Corral's Heisman campaign over the last 2 games. So they probably want him to put up 4 bills and a few touchdowns this weekend throwing the football with Braylon Sanders and those receivers back healthy.
I see this thing getting 49-10 real quick.
In the first
Real
half.
I think conventional wisdom would be to take out Matt Corral, but you're right. They don't do it when he's hurt.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
He played against Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did. All right. I guess I need to explain why I'm the only one picking LSU.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, there wasn't much thought in that. I just thought LSU's just they're just I don't know. They're just gonna be the anti we suck team. They're gonna go bowling. Interim Ed is gonna throw out all the kitchen sink, which is why I think they're gonna cover this. Ty Davis Price will probably cover this by himself.
They're not going to go bowling
They don't
because
have
they
to.
close with Texas A&M.
They're gonna have the illusion at least. I guess.
Yeah, and I just don't think I don't know if LSU could score 29 points just by itself on air.
They did against Florida.
Yeah,
Well,
but
look at
is that
Florida.
South
that
Carolina
worse than air?
scored 40 and Sanford scored 52. Justin Riley's got it right there.
9-6.
That's the type of game that this one's going to end up. LSU's going to win this game 20-10.
That's not covering, is it?
Yeah, that's too many points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Vegas on this one. I just have a hunch. It's just a gut feeling. I'm gonna go with Vegas on this one. Yep, I'm doing it. Can't stop me. All right, let's go outside the conference because thank God. ACC After Dark, Wake Forest, one of my favorite non-SEC teams to watch. They travel to Death Valley. They are 4.5-point dogs at Clemson. Jeb.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely taking Wake Forest in this. I love them. They're a lot more fun, a lot better team. Clemson has a great defense still, but their offense has just been rough this season, and then they're finding themselves a little bit here at the end. But I still think Wake Forest is the better team, and I'm probably taking them for the same reason I'm taking Oregon a little later in this, because I want a whole lot of one-loss champion teams from each division, just so we get a better argument for expanding the college playoffs this year.
Amen.
Yeah.
A freaking man.
I'm going Wake as well. Like Jeb said, they're the more fun team to watch. I don't know if they're up to the talent level as Clemson, but Clemson I don't think could score against Vandy. I mean, they're awful right now on offensively, and to be honest, Florida State had every chance to win that game against Clemson a few weeks ago. They should have won. So there's a lot of offensive struggles right now for Clemson. I don't think they can keep up with Wake because Wake's a pretty good offensive team.
Yeah. Now to me, Wake puts the pressure on offensive coordinators. I think they do a lot of great things. Sam Hartman's having a really, really good season. He's already at 3,163 yards, 3,163 yards. He's thrown for 30 touchdowns, 8 picks on the season. Has played against some pretty solid defenses. I guess relatively. Obviously, this will be the best one that they face all year, but it's not going to matter because Clemson's not going to be able to keep up with them. I could see them winning to the tune of, 35-14, somewhere like that, where they're not going to put up quite the same output that they've put up the last few weeks, where they've been in the 40s and 50s, and even they hit the 70 mark against Army. But I do think they'll put up a lot of points, and I do think that they will go at a pace that Clemson is unable to keep up because they have quarterback, running back, and offensive line issues.
I think Clemson is going to win this game by it's going to be about a touchdown game. I can see a 31-24. People talk about them scoring 70 against Army. They don't talk about Army scoring 56 in that same game. So that's lower level players going against that Wake Forest defense. And I think that could be a little bit of tonic to this Clemson offense. Remember, they've only lost 3 games. Everybody talks about Clemson like they're 3-7. They're actually 7-3 at the moment. So they're going to go to the Meineke Car Care Bowl, get beat, but they're going to be a decent team. They're just going to
They're
struggle
going to play
offensively.
Tennessee in the Meineke Car Care Bowl and get absolutely ran out of the stadium.
That would be
I would pay all the money to watch that.
I couldn't
all the
because my
money.
eyes would be burning. All the orange. Holy cow.
But it's different orange. It's different orange.
Yeah.
Still orange.
Yeah,
Still
you need Texas to pop in there. They can watch the game because they're for sure not going to be playing in one.
Yeah, that's for sure. No, I definitely prefer Clemson orange over Tennessee orange. Sorry, Jeb. Yeah, so I don't know. I just think Wake Forest is going to be able to, score at a clip that they can't keep up with. All right. The Charmin Bowl. Actually, it's not the Charmin Bowl because Iowa State's playing in it, but Iowa State travels to Norman to take on Oklahoma. 3.5-point favorites. Oklahoma is. It's a banana peel away from being a pick'em. Again, Oklahoma soft, but again, they may be pissed off after losing to Baylor. So, Jeb, how do you see this one shaking out?
I'm actually taking Oklahoma in this one. I don't know that I think they're the better team, but I just feel like Oklahoma is going to win this week so that they can get beat by Oklahoma State to lose out in the Big 12 next week.
There you go.
I'm taking them to win.
I think Oklahoma State finally gets through to the Big 12 championship and wins it. That'll be fun. Jake?
I think Oklahoma wins big for Lincoln Riley and for Lincoln Riley to lead to go to LSU at the end of the year. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think.
But are you though?
I do think Oklahoma.
I think he's gonna go.
If Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma for LSU, it would make Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss that situation when he came back look like child's play.
Right. Yeah.
There's not enough gasoline for that fire.
A killer doll?
I think Oklahoma
they might throw a softball, not just a golf ball, at Lincoln Riley.
I'm still lost at where the killer doll comes into this one, but that's okay. All right. Child's play.
Child's play. Yeah.
You guys can't pay for this type of humor.
Nope.
And this level of thinking. But I'm taking Steve. I think you and I'll let you explain why too. But I just think Iowa State's more physical. They're tougher. They're better in a lot of facets. They don't have the stars on the roster, but they are definitely a tougher team, a well-coached team, probably a better coached team at this moment. I'm not saying Lincoln Riley's a bad coach. I just think he's distracted and he's not as good as he can be. But you have Caleb Williams, who struggled with a little bit of inexperience, and you have Spencer Rattler, who I can't really say what he is because I don't want to turn this into a subscription based because I'm cussing all the time. So I'm taking the Cyclones here because I just think they're not soft.
Yeah, and I'm taking Iowa State, and Iowa State has beaten Oklahoma the last 2 years. Now, in the Big 12 championship game last year, Oklahoma got them, but Iowa State won during the season. Now, against Drop 8, the first time you see it, the quarterback struggles. That's just the way it works. Caleb Williams is going to struggle a little bit the first time he pops into that, and it's going to affect the Oklahoma offense. If
It's a
Iowa
different
State can,
style. It's a different
yeah,
style of drop eight. It's three safeties. It's almost
Yeah.
like a five deep. It's almost like a 3-3-5 at that point where you got five deep, where you have your corners and your three safeties over top. So you can kind of play a hybrid. It's like a hybrid coverage maybe. I think it's maybe more of that cover 7 that Saban plays where he's got. I don't know. We could take a whole show to explain Iowa
yeah.
State
The
defense,
point is, it messes with quarterbacks, and
which
with
would
the
be
true
fun.
freshman, that's going to be a problem. And if Iowa State can manufacture any offense at all, which with that Sharman super soft defense, that is obviously a possibility. Brees Hall getting loose, Iowa State is going to handle business, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Game day is going to Columbus, Ohio, for the Ohio State-Michigan State matchup. A game that I feel shouldn't be a 19-point spread, but on the same hand, I feel that's an appropriate spread because, I think Michigan State's having a very, very good season. And the Purdue game was just Purdue just got them. But I think also what Purdue did was it showed what Michigan State where their deficiencies are at this moment, because Michigan State's not a polished team. As good as Mel Tucker is doing, and as good as Kenny Walker is, and Peyton Thorne has played well at times, but he's inconsistent. They just don't have the depth in this one to compete with Ohio State. So I think the three of us, Steve, you, and me, and Jeb, have picked Ohio State. And I'm gonna let Jake tell us why he picked Michigan State, and then I'll let you guys defend your Ohio State pick. But Jake, Michigan State, what do you see here?
Kenneth Walker is amazing. I mean, it's hard. It's going to be harder for, I think, Ohio State to slow him down. And I'm not going to say Michigan State outright wins, but I think, 19 points is a big spread, I think, for a big game like this. So I think Michigan's going to keep it relatively close. They may lose by 10, 14, but I don't think they're going to lose by more than 20.
Yeah, I just think Ohio State has the ability to score and score fast. I mean, they were in a FU game against Purdue. Like, everyone's talking up Purdue, and Ohio State just said, nah, and just ran them out of the building at the Shoe. And they're playing at the Shoe. If this was in East Lansing, maybe I would pick Michigan State. But, Steve, why Ohio State?
I don't know why Ohio State, but when I look at this game, I'm just like you. I look at it as like, that is too many points to be favored over Michigan State in this game. That is too many points to be favored over Michigan State. And then whenever it comes to take a pick, you take Ohio State. Yeah, that is the explanation to this game. I think Ohio State is just super elite, like in the SEC, Alabama and Georgia is, and Michigan State is just really good, like Ole Miss is. That's kind of the way these two teams fall out. Michigan State, I think, is going to finish up 14th or 15th in the college football playoff rankings.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Jeff?
Yeah, nothing against Mel Tucker.
Yeah, it's just a bad matchup.
Yeah,
it's doing a phenomenal job. It's just not a good matchup this week.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that spread gave me a lot of pause too. It took me a little while to get over it, but Ohio State's just rolling right now, and I think it took a little while to find themselves. They weren't as polished, looking as good earlier in the season, but now they're fighting for that playoff spot. I think they're going to get it. And good, kind of. I don't know.
All right. So Oregon travels to Utah. Utah's 3-point favorites at home. This is a possible Pac-12 championship preview. With Utah kind of in the mix for the South Division and Oregon obviously in the running for the North Division. I honestly don't know the standings. I think that's true. If this were Pac-12 After Dark, you guys could fillet me for that, but you can't. Seriously, LSU 24, ULM 13. Yeah, Justin Riley. Yeah. How do we see this one, Jeb?
This is another one of those where they give the home team kind of advantage and say that it's going to be an upset. I don't see why. I think Oregon's played really well. So I'm definitely again. I want, like I said earlier, with picking Wake Forest too. I want there to be a one-loss Pac-12 champion, just to make them have to explain why some of these teams aren't making it into the playoffs. It should be, and I think Oregon's one of those that's going to be fighting for that playoff spot and may actually get it the way rankings are looking right now over undefeated Cincinnati. So I like Oregon, and I think they win.
All right, Jake.
We talked about this before we come on air between us three, but I may still Stephen's Thunder here. But they have the number 3 team in the rankings, a underdog. In this game, it just shows what the committee feels, how they view Oregon at this moment. And Utah is really, really good. They play better at home, but again, this is one of these big time matchups that it could go either way. And I think they may kick a late field goal to win this game at home.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, this is a game like all the ones I picked. If you go like Clemson over Wake Forest, Iowa State over Oklahoma, Ohio State's kind of chalk, Utah over Oregon, and my next picks and everything, they're all teams that are ranked between 6 and 12, and I'm picking them to lose. And it's not a crazy idea that they're picked to lose. I'm not going out on a limb and just trying to catch up. And like Oregon being 3 and an underdog, that proves that they don't deserve to be ranked 3.
Right.
If you're ranked 9th to Clemson and a 4-point underdog, you don't deserve to be ranked 9th. And there's just a little bit of a disconnect between Vegas and the polls when it comes to this. So I'm taking Utah. I think Utah can get Oregon, although Oregon's only loss was when Joe Moorhead was in the hospital. I understand that.
Yep.
But I think Utah's a good team. I think they have a chance to pull out a little bit of special magic, and I think they're going to win this game and then lose in the Big 12 championship or Pac-12 championship to Oregon.
Big 12, Pac-12, it's all the same.
Same deal.
I like Oregon. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, is going to really shine bright in this game. I think he's going to be extremely disruptive, and I think that's going to throw Utah off. I think Utah is going to have trouble offensively, and I think Oregon is going to find their groove as they inch closer to the Pac-12 championship and winning the Pac-12 for the second straight year. I think Oregon's going to start rolling here. All right, our next pick. That's the problem with me going last because I have to I'm like waiting for somebody else to make their pick, and we've all made our pick on that game.
You got to transition.
I know, right? That's what they call in journalism school the transition, guys. Monty, those broadcasting classes are really starting to pay off. Name the movie in the chat. All right, Baylor travels to Manhattan, not New York. The Little Apple, Kansas State. This is a pick 'em. Might as well be. Kansas State is 1-point favorite at home, but Baylor comes in flying high off their upset over Oklahoma. Are they flying too high, or do you buy that Baylor is for real, Jeb?
Yeah, actually, I'm buying Baylor right now, and their coach might be the one that actually ends up at LSU, from what I've been seeing. But no, I don't know why they're underdogs. Kansas State, I know it's basically a pick 'em, like you said, but honestly, I think Baylor's the better team. I'm definitely taking them in this one.
Jake?
Yeah, I'm picking Baylor as well, and I don't think I like Skylar Thompson. I like Kansas State to get a little bit better, but Baylor's clicking on all cylinders right now, and I think they may get ugly in this game.
All right.
I'm taking Kansas State, the Wildcats. Go Power Cat. Because Kansas State is a 1-point favorite over Baylor, and if that's the case, Baylor doesn't deserve to be the 11th ranked team in the country. That's the same thing I've said over and over again. And also, Kansas State is 7-3. They are quietly a good football team.
They really are a good football team, but I think Gary Bohannon and crew are better. I think the fact that it's a pick 'em is more of a credit to Kansas State than it is a downgrade on Baylor. I think this is going to be an incredible game. This is going to be a must-see game, I think. This is going to be fun to watch. Some of these Big 12 games have been low-key, really fun to watch. And I never thought I'd say that, but Oklahoma State surprised me. They're really good, and that's going to be our next pick. But I'm taking Baylor here. I think Aranda's done a phenomenal job, and these two teams, and also Chris Kleiman's done a great job. It's a shame that one of these teams is going to have to lose, but Chris Kleiman's done a really good job at Kansas State as well. Coming over from North Dakota State, I think he's building a program there and a culture. He's just got like one more season to go, and I think they're going to be really, really good.
And no coach besides Bill Snyder has won at Kansas State except for Chris Kleiman.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. So Chris Kleiman doing a really, really good job. So the aforementioned Oklahoma State team travels to Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders. Oklahoma State is 10-point favorites. Texas Tech bowling with Sonny Cumbie as the interim head coach. They are bowling. They are excited. But Oklahoma State could be the favorites to win the Big 12. Jeb, how do you see this one?
Yeah, and that's my prediction. I think Oklahoma State's going to roll on all the way through the Big 12 and take the championship. Texas Tech has been, better than I expected after how this season's gone for them. But I think Oklahoma State's just much better. I'm taking them to cover in that one.
Yeah, I'm picking Oklahoma State as well, and I don't know much about Texas Tech this year. I haven't got to watch them. I watched a little bit of Oklahoma State, and they're a really, really good team. And I think, like Jeb mentioned, they're going to, just win out and win the Big 12 championship. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State.
There you go. Oklahoma State was the poster child of being soft, but this team probably couldn't be more jacked up this year, and more jacked up for Bedlam, because they have a little bit of chip on their shoulder now that Oklahoma is bolting the conference, so they're going to be a little bit pissed off, which is going to make for a very, very good Bedlam game next week. So they're not very sneaky; they're just a good team. Yeah. They're not very, very sneaky. I mean, I guess you could say they're sneaky because they're not on TV much, or they're not like prominent on TV.
Yeah. And this is my catch-up pick. That's the reason I'm taking Texas Tech in this game. I have no reason for doing so, except it is a chosen catch-up pick.
Except because it's the Big 12 and whatever.
Yeah, and I'm taking all these not underdogs. There's favorites in many occasions. So why not continue the trend?
There you go. All right. Well, as we wrap this thing up, Steve, speaking of catch up, why don't you catch us up on why you should get involved? Tell us why, if you're out there listening, why you should get involved with the Y'all Conference Network, and why, what's the benefits of it? What can we expect?
The Y'all Conference.
They expect?
Yeah, the Y'all Conference Network is basically it is a way to round up independent podcasters. We're not a content network. We're a financial network. So you can bank on the advertising power of a larger pie to the process. So whenever you look at SEC After Dark, you can see it here on the Y'all Conference Network, but it's also on the DGD podcast. It's also on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast channel. It's also on the Tide Talk podcast channel. All of those places add up and increases the viewership of this product for you. So it's just a way to give individual podcasters and independent podcasters a little bit more power.
And that's what we all want. It's and it's also fan analysis, and it's a new perspective that you don't get. Like, of course, you can listen to the big box people and get your insiders and all that stuff, but we have a unique perspective, and we bring it to you, and that's what we do, and we kind of analyze it from the lens of kind of where we sit, which is, for Steve and I, we sit as former staffers, former media members, and Jeb and Jake come from their perspectives as well, and it's fun, and it's an interesting way to do it. And I think that we're building quite a good network, and I think we've got some good people on board with us in our peripheral, as we cast our net, as we make our web bigger. We add partners to this whole thing. I think we'd love to have Biscuits and SEC. I think they're up and comers. DGD, of course, helping corner the market on Georgia coverage. Beast of the East, Best of the West are also ancillary shows that are going to rock and roll. Jake, you and Kevin do your thing, and I don't know if you're going to bring Stacy into the fold or not, but with Beast of the East, we're kind of restructuring. We're going to re-debut next week. I don't want to say debut because we're already out there, but we're going to re-debut with our new cast, myself, Israel Troop, and Vinny Hardy of the Believe in Kentucky podcast. So that'll be
awesome.
Fun. We've had Vinny on our show, and we've been on Vinny's show. So we decided to all do a show together to where we're all together all the time.
It's weird that we're getting a basketball guy, a Kentucky guy, right before basketball season. It's kind of weird how that works out.
It's a big catch, and that'll give us chances to talk to Tony Delk as well, because he hosts with Tony. I think he still does. He did the last time I checked, but maybe Tony just comes around for basketball season. Tony promised to wear his denim jersey every time he came on.
Good, so good,
so good. But y'all should get on this train, and y'all need to get on the new wave here, because it's going to be awesome. And all those references, those were puns. I was using y'all very, very intentionally. So y'all's Conference Network kicked ass on the logo, by the way.
Yeah.
The intro, I was like, whoa, okay, all right, let's get it. So the title slate, got to figure out what that's going to be. Maybe it's just a bouncing logo for Windows 95, but
yeah.
Welcome to Prodigy. You've got mail.
You've got mail, G.
Yeah.
You could customize it to whatever you wanted to say, but
it's a lot of fun. Also, me moving over to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. They're going to get its own YouTube channel, and it's going to have its own podcast feed. But we're going to try and find a way to link to that and bring it over to the y'all's Conference Network page in a real similar way that if you look down there, you can see the Auburn thing. So there's going to be a way to do, and we're going to try and get the content to the most people possible. But please tell your friends about it, subscribe to it whenever it comes out, and let's get that built up as much as possible, because, that is going to be an avenue for growth on the Y'all Conference Network, even though it's kind of separate things at this point.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like I said, it's a financial network, not a content network. So you do your thing, you advertise, we'll echo it and all that good stuff. So we're doing the same thing, and I guess Believe has been pretty cool about it. So
yeah.
So there you go. As I desperately need water. Woo! Steve, I know your plight, man. I know your plight.
You have consumption.
Yep. Woo! That throat, man, is dry. Completely.
You got the vapors.
Yep.
You need some water.
Yeah, run that on up here, Jake. I'll see you in a minute. But yeah, that's good. That's going to do it for us, guys. We are SEC After Dark. We're on the brand new Y'all's Conference Network. So for Jake, for Jeb, for Steve Willis, I am Corey Burton. So long. See you later. Until next time, we are SEC After Dark. Goodbye.